Let's start with a disclaimer, which I don't do very often. This video is violent. That's my opinion. I wouldn't watch this video with my kid. This video discusses the attempted assassination of the Argentinian vice president in September 2022. A gunman pointed a gun inches from the vice president's face and pulled the trigger.
Cameras were rolling. Argentinia's vice president smiling. Then suddenly, a loaded pistol is pointed at her head. A click is heard, but the weapon does not fire. An attempted assassination, according to one government minister. Another angle showing Cristina Fernández de Kirchner greeting the crowd, when in seconds, the man pushes forward and holds the gun inches from her face. Argentinia's president addressing the nation. Cristina remains alive because for some reason, not yet technically confirmed, the gun which contained 5 bullets did not fire. Within minutes, a suspect was detained, dragged down by a crowd, taken away with a coat over his head and later in custody, covering his face. His motive unclear. Forensic police out in force. Now these images, the most serious challenge to democracy for decades, the president said, warning that hate leads to violence. But as Argentinian television replays these seconds again and again, the danger this morning may be deeper political divisions.
Let's discuss some of the details associated with this unfortunate assassination attempt. Fortunately, it was an attempt and he was not successful. The gunman was carrying a Bersa handgun. Bersa is an Argentinian firearms company. In the media, the reason the gun did not fire was labeled a failure to fire or the gun jammed. One or the other is the explanation that the media gave. For demonstration purposes, I'll use my Keltec. So this is not a Bersa, it's a Keltec PMR 30. So the media also reported that there wasn't a round in the chamber. So you see my firearms unloaded and there's no magazine, so there's nothing inside. So there was not a round in the chamber, which is when you're looking at the video and the trigger is pulled. Scary thing, he's got the gun pointed right at her face, but when the trigger is pulled, you hear a click, and thank God, not a bang. So the gun didn't failure to fire, and it didn't jam. So I don't know how it could reasonably be considered a failure to fire when it was never going to fire without a round inside the chamber. The gunman did what many call dry fire. He fired, pulled the trigger with nothing in the chamber. Some people do this to practice. I, as a practice, don't dry fire. It's just something that took place in training, so I don't. It's also reported that there were 5 rounds inside the magazine. But if there's no energy from the previous round firing, there's nothing to cause an automatic action of the slide. So the round fires and the slide comes back. And then the little spring in the magazine pops another one up into the chamber and the slide comes forward and you're ready to fire again. And this happens in rapid fire. So if there's no energy from the previous round firing, causing the slide to go to the rear, there's nothing to cause an automatic action of the slide, meaning no subsequent round is cycled into the chamber. Thank God for the vice president. I'm not trying to minimize the fact that it was an assassination attempt. We're just discussing the mechanics of the firearm, which I found somewhat interesting. God bless, stay safe.